She is acting royalty, of course she is, having starred in the likes of Titanic and Mayor of Easttown, as well as so many other things. Now, Kate Winslet is bringing the amazing life story of World War II photographer and journalist Lee Miller to the big screen. Well, Kate Winslet joins me now. Congratulations.
Thank you. God,
what a film.
Even watching that clip, I'm like, wow, we've actually really made the film. I don't need to keep making the film anymore. It's really done, because it was such a long time for me, the whole process.
It was. It took far too long. I mean, even with your name attached to it, and even with a remarkable cast.
But Lorraine,
it still took ages.
As a woman, it is very hard to make films about women, believe it or not. And, you know, this was an independent film, and so that means that financiers come from different areas and make it happen, but finding those people and also getting the script right. Lee Miller had a vast, vast life. And if you Google her, she's often referred to as a muse or the ex-model, former cover girl, which was a sliver of her life in her 20s. And this film focuses on the middle-aged, flawed Lee Miller, who went to war as a nearly 40-something woman and documented what was happening on the front line for the benefit of the female readers of Vogue, because she knew that so much was being kept, so much was being hidden away, and she believed in revealing the truth, and she believed in being a visual voice as a photographer for the victims of conflict.
Because sometimes, as you say, a photograph can tell you so much more about what's going on, and it hits you harder.
Yes.
Do you think that's what really drove her? Because obviously she was incredibly driven.
Well,
you know,
sadly,
she wouldn't take no for an answer.
She wouldn't take no for an answer. Good old Lee. She was such a life force, and she just didn't give up. And actually making this film, which was 9 years of my life, from 2015 till now, I actually literally can't believe it's really happening, to be honest. And I've thought about this moment, like, oh, I'm going to go on Lorraine and I'm going to talk about the film. And I've been thinking about that for 9 years, and here I am. So it's kind of extraordinary. But she was tenacious, and she was dealt a very serious wrong as a young girl. And that, I believe, subconsciously or even consciously, is what drove her. She couldn't handle injustice of any kind. And she really believed in standing up for other women. And she also just believed in outing the bad guys, quite honestly. And so much was hidden. You know, there's a moment in the film where she calls Audrey Withers, played by Andrea Riseborough, who you just saw in that clip. She calls her from France and she says, are there any reports of missing people in the news? And Audrey says, missing? Who's missing? No, it's almost over. And Audrey and the Vogue girls are having a party and eating cake, and Lee says it's not over at all. And so many, then thousands, and what we now know to be millions of people were, of course, missing. And Lee would not stop until she'd found them, and she did find them. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you've told this story, though, because I feel as if she didn't really... You've given her a place that she didn't have before, and she should have.
Well, the thing is about Lee is that so often she has been sort of labelled or almost viewed through the male gaze. And as I say, that was a tiny moment in her life, and it seemed really wrong to me. This was an incredibly powerful, compassionate and passionate woman who was incredibly respectful about how she did her job, and so brave to go by herself when no women were doing this. No women were going as photographers. They couldn't even get their war accreditation to be given permission to go. But she cut through all the red tape, and she went there and she did it, and she was just relentless, and she wouldn't give up. And that was like me making the film. Exactly. It so mirrors the experience. I could sort of feel her almost pulling the levers from her grave, going, come on, girl, keep going. And so I just wouldn't give up.
But some of the images were very disturbing, but we needed to see them. That was the thing, wasn't it? We needed to see what was going on in the concentration camps. We needed to see what was happening to young kids who, as you said, they were missing.
They were missing.
People didn't know where... People were desperate, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And what I have found myself saying a lot about this film is that it is a film about a woman, and it's about a woman's internal war. And the backdrop is World War II. And when we do touch on some of those scenes, as you say, within the concentration camps, we really just were ruthless with ourselves about following the facts. We had Lee Miller's real images, her photographs, the things that she had witnessed. And she bared witness, and that was her job, and she felt that that was her duty. And so it was our duty as the filmmakers responsible for bringing this story to life that we just followed that line and that truth. So we only show what we really know that Lee did see, and we interpret it in our own way and give life to it. And it's important. She was historically of such significance, and her life should be celebrated. And it's just amazing that I actually managed to do it. Still keep pinching myself.
It is. It's extraordinary it took so long. I mean, it really is, especially, like I say, with someone like yourself attached to it. You just think, yeah, OK, we'll just give that the green light and let it go. But it shows you never give up. What I love about you, though, is there's no vanity. I mean, that's the thing. You know, we saw that with that brilliant work you did with your daughter. I mean, that was astonishing, wasn't it? Award-winning as well. I remember when you said when you got the award you wanted to cut it in half and give half of it to me. And, you know, you just said she deserved half of it. She was brilliant.
Oh, thank you so
much.
Good. Yeah, she's quite the young lady.
She's just very quietly getting on with it.
Yes, she is.
Which is great.
She's trucking away. She's busy. She's professional. She's a good girl.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
it's
incredibly
fantastic.
Proud of her.
And Mayor of East Town as well. These fantastic women that you play, and we need that.
But the thing is, but Lorraine, I think we live in a time now where we are starting to see, I think, actresses play parts that are redefining what it means to be feminine. Femininity is different now. Femininity isn't a flowery dress and a tiny little figure and a full face of makeup. Femininity is resilience and courage and power and passion and sisterhood and standing up for oneself. And for me, that's who Lee Miller was, and that's why I wanted to play her so much, because we need that to look to. And younger women are learning to use their voices in a whole new way. And for me, being able to play characters that might feed into that demographic and changing the culture to a certain degree, hopefully, you know, it's important. You know, it's really important that we give these young women and your wee granddaughter a world to walk into, that they feel they can hold their heads high, and that's what Lee was able to do, certainly for me in playing her, and hopefully I've been able to do that in making this film.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
But also thank you for doing the movie.
It's a pleasure.
An astonishing film. Lee is out on Friday.